YouTube. Little sort of something that I didn't think I was going to be doing today. I've been gifted some suspected blueberry plants. They were planted down on the allotment, on an allotment that's been given up. Somebody's taken it over, didn't want them, so I said I'd take them. They even gave me some ericaceous as well, so that was very nice of them. So what I'm going to do, because they're so small, is I'm going to be putting them in these, what are these? Approximately, I don't know, 3 to 4 litre pots, maybe about 8 inches. I'm going to be potting them up with some straight ericaceous compost, and then I'm going to mulch up the tops of them with some conifer wood chip that I've been putting down on the allotment. But what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to wash off a lot of this heavy clay soil. Not worried about too much about getting them spotless, but I want to wash some of it off to give them a bit of an easier start.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, so just to elaborate on why I'm doing what I'm doing on this video, it's purely and simply because blueberries like a acidic soil. They won't grow well in an alkaline soil. Now I know from testing that the soil down on the allotments runs at around about 7 to 8 pH, which is far too alkaline for the blueberry bushes to be happy. In fact, when I was looking at the root balls, you could see it had sort of grown out of its comfort zone, because they were started at some point in compost and had essentially threaded themselves back in, sort of to run away from the high pH of the surrounding soil. Another reason for doing this is blueberries really like a free draining soil. Now, as you can see from the soil I'm washing off, it is heavy clay. It will not, it'll not be too happy sat in that soil. So I thought, as I had plenty of ericaceous, because as I mentioned, the plot holder actually gave me 2/3 of a bag of ericaceous. So I thought, as I had plenty of ericaceous, I would go into pure ericaceous compost. So that's, as you can see, that's what I'm doing. I rinse off the plants themselves. Give them, I'm not too worried about getting in amongst all the roots. As long as I get the majority of the clay off, the roots will find their own way back out into the compost that I plant them in. I might as well use this time to give you a bit of background, a bit of information about growing blueberries. As I've already said, they like free draining, acidic soil. They like, I love this term, and this is from RHS. I shall put a link to the article below. They like a sunny but sheltered spot. Blueberries are tolerant of shade, but if you want a better crop, they need full sun. Especially at ripening time, they tend to struggle to ripen without a large amount of sunshine. These guys that I'm planting, they won't be remaining in these pots, they will be coming out, but they are quite happy, most varieties, as a pot, grown in a pot. Just give them plenty of room. They actually should, in the right conditions, develop quite a large root ball. But like I said, that drainage is important, so make sure whatever pot you decide to put them in, that the water is free to run out of the bottom holes. Preferably by putting some holes in the side. If it's going in something like a terracotta, make sure you put a piece of broken pot over the hole at the bottom to create a bit of a bridge. I'll talk to you again in a bit. Okay, so that's them washed off. So, usual planting procedure really, where you will throw in ericaceous. down. I'm going to push them down a bit harder, and I am going to man them up slightly as well. I know really you should only go to the level to which they were previously planted, but they're going to need... They're quite strong, they're not young plants, so... And if they do send out more shoots, happy days. So all I'm going to do, around the top like that. Around the top with a generous amount of wood chip, and that'll help feed it as it breaks down, but it'll help more importantly with a bit of moisture retention in the soil, because these will be going out in the greenhouse. Okay guys, I'm back again. What I'm going to talk to you, we're just going to continue to obviously talk about blueberries and things like that as I'm planting away in the background there. So we've talked a bit about sort of what they like. Now obviously what I'm planting in, as I've already mentioned many times, is ericaceous compost. What is ericaceous compost? It's purely an acidic based compost. Made primarily of things like pine-based wood chips, coniferous leaves. You know, it's selectively created compost to create something of around about a pH of 4.5. That's where blueberries are happy. Now there was, as I say, sort of 6 more of these that I may go and get. But for now, I've got more than enough. I've already got, as regular viewers will know, 2 of my own. So sorry, didn't want to talk over myself there. It's incredibly rude. 6, but I'm not one to let free plants go to waste, because they would have just ended up dumped on the scrap heap. And I've not taken them. Okay, so I'm going to turn myself down in a second because I'm just pretty much wittering to myself. So we've obviously talked about full sown, we've talked about things like that. What I just want to go on to talk about is things like problems for blueberries. If you've got the soils right, they actually don't have that many problems. They can suffer with powdery mildew, which is just a white deposit that appears all over the leaf surface. Leaves will sort of shrivel up because they can't photosynthesize correctly. Tends to only happen in cooler locations. It can happen if you're growing your blueberries in a tented environment such as a polytunnel because it's humid. But if you're suffering with it, keep your soil moist, keep your plant dry. So water the soil, not your plant. It should clear up on its own. The other problems they tend to suffer with are aphids, and they tend to be a case of you have to remove them as and when you see them, to literally squash the aphid colonies. I also use something called neem oil, which I regularly treat all my bushes with throughout summer. It's a natural. It's not actually a pesticide, but it is a pesticide, and what it does is it stops them from reproducing and dries out any eggs that are already there. So I actually spray 3 or 4 times over the course of the year, more so if I see them, but apart from that, apart from aphids and birds, they don't have that many predators, they don't have that many problems. They're pretty much a trouble-free crop to grow. You get your soil levels correct, and trust me, they will produce, and they will produce quite a lot. They're quite prolific. They grow really well in British climates, and it's something that I severely recommend that you grow. It's a really nice, it's really good superfood. So yeah, for now I'll hand you back over to Ross. Russ is still planting up there. I'll come back in again. On a side note, when it comes to blueberries, most varieties will produce and will give you a fruit when they are planted on their own. But like most other fruit varieties, they are more happy, or they're more happy. They are happier if there is another variety of a different strain. So say a blueberry, but of a different strain. Say for example, let me just get some strains up here. You had a Duke and a Spartan or a Nelson on the same plot. They will cross-pollinate each other. It won't affect the fruit. You won't notice any difference in the fruit, and you will end up with a much more bountiful harvest, short of, you know, pollinating all the flowers on your own. The other thing personally I really like about blueberries is in winter the bushes, they turn a fire red. It really is stunning. Really is a stunning plant to have. I like them bordering my paths between my fruit trees, which is where these extra 6 are going to go once they've matured. Probably they'll stay in these pots probably for this season, and they'll probably get planted out next season. Or if all goes to plan, actually I will be putting them in very large pots filled with pure ericaceous, and then I will do as I have done here hopefully and just keep putting wood chip on the top. Like I said, this wood chip is a coniferous wood chip. It's from conifers. It is therefore acidic, so that all benefits the blueberries to quite a large extent. Blueberries do like a lot of rain. They do like a lot of water, especially in the growing season, but as they do suffer with powdery mildew, as I have already said, make sure you water the plant. Make sure you water the soil and not the plant. Don't spray the plant. However, in not spraying the plant, you are enabling aphids a lot more. So do keep an eye out for that. Quick note on harvesting. You'll notice, I mean, you should know what a blueberry looks like, but you'll notice the fruits actually go from flower to a green hard berry to a dusty, I don't think they look blue, but they're called, you know, the term is a dusty blue. And once they are a dusty blue all the way over, they're ready for harvesting. You will get several crops off each plant because they won't all harvest at the same time. They can be eaten fresh, they freeze really well, they dry extremely well for those of you with a dehydrator out there. And as I've already said, they are such a good superfood. Kids love them. I know my two love to put them on their cereal on a morning. So I really can't tell you about the benefits of growing blueberries enough. And if they grow in pots, they make an excellent patio plant because they just look so pretty, especially as I've said as you're going into autumn. So I've got them pretty much potted up there. I'll hand you back over to Russ. I don't think I've got much else to say.
And that is that, folks. That is 6 blueberry bushes potted up. Hopefully, like I said, to get them through the winter. I'll go in the greenhouse now, and they'll spend next season in these pots, and then next year they'll either go in the ground, in the ground surrounded by ericaceous compost, or into larger pots. We'll have to wait and see. But that's all for now, folks. It's a random recording, like I say, it was unintentional. So I'll see you later.